From one small channel to another, let's talk about the 5 ways that you can gain your first 500 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. When I first started my YouTube channel just last year, I remember watching these videos about how to grow your YouTube channel from scratch. But a lot of them were created by these mega creators who had started their YouTube channel so many years ago, and they had multi-million numbers in their subscribers. But what I wanted to do with this video was really just share my more recent experience in terms of growing my YouTube channel from 0 to 500, so that if you are starting a YouTube channel from scratch, these might be some of the ways that you can start to reach new audiences and connect with your people. I did also previously create another episode for 50 tiny tips for YouTube beginners, so if you want to go into a lot more depth, then make sure you check out that video after this one. My tip number 1 is to target a bigger TAM. Your TAM is your total addressable market. So this might be the market that you are targeting for a particular topic or for your YouTube channel overall. For example, with me, when it comes to personal branding, this might relate to anyone who is trying to build their personal brand for their professional development, for their personal development, or for their business. So what is the TAM that your YouTube channel is trying to target, and how can you position even a potentially niche topic to appeal to a bigger TAM? My second tip would be to find adjacent ideas. So if you are simply trying to target a bigger TAM, this is likely still going to be quite difficult when you are starting a new YouTube channel, because the topic that you might be trying to target, or the target audience that you have in mind, may be still a very competitive space. So how can you connect potentially adjacent ideas and bring them together? For example, the topic of rebranding is popular on YouTube, but it's often most related to the personal development space. What I have found is that I can tie in personal branding into the rebranding space and find a unique angle in that particular topic. So instead of it just being about rebranding yourself, this can be about rebranding yourself from the perspective of rebranding your personal brand, so your professional brand, and how it relates to that space. So you are capitalizing on the interest in a bigger topic, but you are finding your unique perspective in that potential marketplace. This leads nicely into tip number 3, which is to target suggested videos. Now, if I was to make a video on just generally personal branding, it's not likely that this is going to gain a lot of cut through on YouTube, because there are so many mega creators that make videos on this topic. So it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to be noticed for that broad topic. So the idea of just how to build a personal brand, for example. But what I could do is target suggested videos. So when you think about how your YouTube algorithm works, think for example that you might find yourself interested in a particular topic. So you look up a video on that topic, or you found that you have clicked on a video on that topic and watched that video recently. What you want to do is be part of those future suggestions. So while you might not be the first video that your potential target audience sees on that topic, because they might be the much bigger creators than you that are being served to your audience to begin with, you might have a better chance in the less competitive space of the suggested videos that follow after that. So if you think about when you are interested in a particular topic, you're usually not just watching one video on that topic. You're usually watching a series of videos. You might spend weeks or even months diving into your interest in that topic. So how can you create content that is related to suggested videos? For example, instead of me creating a video about how to build a personal brand, I could create a video about how to to build a personal brand as an introvert, or how to build your personal brand as an entrepreneur. These might then be suggested videos after people have already developed their interest in personal branding to begin with. My tip number 4 is to create a series. Now, I actually watched an interview where someone who worked in YouTube mentioned that creating a series is potentially one of the best ways that you can grow your YouTube channel, and it follows a lot of the same ideas as what I talked about in the previous tip. If you think about when someone is interested in a topic, they usually want to keep watching more videos related to that topic. So if you yourself have created a series, then your channel can keep that person interested in that topic instead of them going to other channels to find the additional information that they are looking for. So think about a series that you can create for your YouTube channel, and beyond that, think about how you are regularly incorporating a series focus into your channel. For example, if I noticed to begin with that the topic of rebranding yourself did well on my YouTube channel, then I might create a rebrand yourself video part 2. Or I might extend this even further and talk about subtopics within that particular topic. For example, how to rebrand your visual brand, how to rebrand your verbal brand, and so on. Or for example, instead of just creating an episode about how to build your personal brand on LinkedIn, I might break down these topics. So I like to think of this, for example, as when you are creating a article or a blog post, which is how I normally start the topics that I share on my YouTube channel and my podcast. What you can do is, instead of just thinking about that overall topic that you have covered in that particular blog or in that particular idea, you break down those different sections and you make that an episode in itself. So instead of having an episode called How to Build Your Personal Brand on LinkedIn, you might have a series of episodes and break down, for example, how to write a better LinkedIn bio, how to write a better LinkedIn headline, how to create a more engaging LinkedIn banner, the psychology behind your LinkedIn profile photo, or the cliches to cut from your LinkedIn profile, or how to optimize SEO for your LinkedIn profile, for example. So instead of just having one video, you break down that topic into potentially 5 or 6 videos, which create an appetite for that topic, and it keeps your viewer engaged in that particular conversation. When you're trying to decide how to focus your series, remember Pareto's law, and this can be particularly helpful if you have already created some content and you've been able to get at least a few views that you can analyze in the analytics of your YouTube channel. Pareto's law is about focusing your efforts on the top 20% of your results, because it says that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort. So if you look at anything that you have already created and you notice that certain things are starting to get more traction than others, then pull on that thread. Ask yourself how you can break that down into a potential series, or how you can create more content related to that topic that seems to be of interest to your target audience. Thanks so much. For more on starting your YouTube channel, check out my 50 tiny tips for YouTube beginners.